This Day in Sports History. And welcome back to This Day in Sports History, a member of the Sports History Network. More podcasts, more info, and a whole lot more can be found at sportshistorynetwork.com. It's March 8th, and on this day in 1937, the Montreal Canadiens' Howie Morenz died. Morenz was the first true hockey star of the NHL. Morenz spent 14 seasons in the league, mostly in Montreal, and he was known for his speed, his puck handling, and his knack for knowing where the puck was going to be. His teammate, Aurel Joliat, was in awe of the man.
Morenz had, I believe, what they call a sixth sense. He was the most natural hockey player that I ever seen or played with.
Morenz led the league in goals scored in the 1928 season with 33, and he led the NHL in points twice and was the Hart MVP trophy winner 3 times. Several hockey historians credit Morenz for helping popularize hockey in the U.S. The way he played simply sold tickets.
Down this wing, Morenz takes the pass, he goes in, he shoots, he scored for the Canadiens. Blair ended up against the boards but wasn't hurt, and that ties the old game up with less than 10 minutes to go.
His death on this day was a direct result of what happened on January 28th in a game between Montreal and the Chicago Blackhawks. In the first period, Morenz chased a puck into the corner in the Blackhawks' end. Morenz lost an edge and he fell to the ice, sliding into the boards. The boards surrounding the rink were made of wood, and Morenz's left skate got stuck. Chicago defenseman Earl Siebert was in pursuit, but when Morenz went down, he couldn't stop in time, and he crashed full force on top of Morenz.
Up against the boards at the Montreal Forum, Big Earl Siebert of the Chicago Blackhawks falls on him. Apparently you could have heard the leg break anywhere in the building.
Morenz was carried off the ice and taken to a local hospital, where it was determined he had broken his leg in 4 places. Initially, it was thought that Morenz could possibly return to the ice in 6 weeks for the final games of the regular season. But then things started to look a little bit different in the following days. He was soon ruled out for the rest of the year, with doubts drifting in about whether he could actually return to the ice at all. The thought of his hockey career possibly being over sent Morenz into a morass of depression as he continued to convalesce in the hospital. Visits from teammates did little to brighten his mood.
One time he told me that once he couldn't play hockey anymore, he may as well be dead.
On the night of the 8th, Morenz got up to visit the bathroom, but he collapsed and he died on the floor. It was initially called a heart attack, but was later determined to be a pulmonary embolism caused by blood clots as a result of his injury on the 28th. The Babe Ruth of hockey died at the age of 34. On this day in 1971, it was the fight of the century between Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier at Madison Square Garden. This was arguably the most anticipated title fight in the history of mankind. One of the big reasons is that this was the first title fight featuring 2 undefeated boxers who had been or were champions at one time. Ali had been stripped of his titles because of his refusal to stand forward for the draft to fight in Vietnam. Frazier was the heavyweight champ who stepped into that void of Ali's vacated belts with wins over Buster Mathis and Jimmy Ellis. Ali had only fought twice since his return from his suspension, with wins over Jerry Quarry and Oscar Bonavena. Ali was 29 years old, and he was 31-0 in the ring, with 25 of those wins coming by knockout. Frazier was 2 years younger. He had a 26-0 record with 23 by knockout, and he was a slight favorite due to Ali's forced layoff and only having 2 fights in the lead-up. As he was prone to do, Ali stoked the fires in the weeks before the fight, but Ali stepped over the line, calling Frazier an Uncle Tom and the white man's champion. Frazier was stunned, and he was hurt by those comments. He'd been a supporter of Ali during his suspension, and he helped him get his boxing license back. Newark Star-Ledger sports writer Jerry Eisenberg said the fighters were used as stand-ins in the battle between hippies and hard hats, the young generation against their elders. Ali's taunts backfired against him, though, because Frazier used those words to provide fuel to his training and his boxing on this night. One writer covering the fight ringside described Frazier as like a wild beast caught in a thicket. In front of a sold-out crowd of 20,000 at the Garden and millions more watching on closed-circuit screens all over the globe, this fight lived up to its billing. Frazier and his trainer Eddie Futch came up with a great game plan for this fight. They worked on dodging punches low to induce Ali to throw more uppercuts, which opened Ali up for Joe's devastating left hook. Frazier took a lot of punishment in this fight, taking 2 to 3 shots to his 1. But he was able to neutralize his reach difference and get inside on Ali. Frazier also fought a close quarters fight, not allowing Ali to extend his punches, and so Ali did a lot of clinching. Frazier won the middle rounds. Ali came back in the 9th and the 10th until Joe turned it back around. In the 11th, Frazier staggered Ali.
That one hurt, so did that. Muhammad Ali staggered. Muhammad Ali was dropped. He's holding on desperately.
And then in the 15th, Frazier connected his vicious left hook to Ali's jaw and sent him to the mat.
Oh, there it is! The left hook. Frazier's at last caught up with him. Tremendous left hook. He was up at 5, compulsory 8 count. So Clay down, the first knockdown of the fight. Tremendous left hook. Can Frazier now finish him in the last round?
Even though he knew he had to be leading on all the cards, Frazier tried for the kill shot in the 15th, but he just couldn't make it happen. It didn't matter. Frazier won in a unanimous decision to remain the undisputed heavyweight champion. On this day in 1930, Babe Ruth signed the world's biggest sports contract and had one of the all-time great responses to a reporter's question. Ruth had just turned 35 a month before, and he was coming off a year where he hit .345 with a league-leading 46 home runs. It was the 4th straight year he had led the league in that category, and that closed out his contract where he was making $70,000 a year. But here in 1930, not even 6 months past the Wall Street crash that plunged the nation and subsequently the world into what would become known as the Great Depression, where unemployment would surge to about 25% at its height, and wages would fall by more than 40% by 1933, Ruth held out for a pay increase. But the thing is, he was worth it, and New York Yankees owner Jacob Ruppert knew it. Since bringing Ruth over from the Red Sox, he had led the league in home runs 8 times, led the Yankees to 3 World Series titles, and made the team into a popular and profitable one after being considered also-rans before he got there. Also, remember that professional ball players did not have a lot of bargaining power on their side other than holding out during contract negotiation. Free agency would not exist for another 40 years. And so, on this day, Ruppert and Ruth sat down and put ink to paper on a 2-year, $160,000 contract, paying him $80,000 per year, making him the richest athlete on the planet.
And they settled it. Now, Ruth, everything's settled. I got the contract signed now, and everything is okay. I hope you're going to have a very, very successful season. And I hope you're going to go and break the old home run record.
Well, Colonel, if feeling or anything like that's got anything to do with it, I sure feel fit for it.
Well, that's fine. I'm glad to know it.
Yankees general manager Ed Barrow said nobody will ever be paid more than Ruth, which of course is laughable now, but at the time seemed about right. Consider that 5 years later, Barrow would sign Lou Gehrig's 2-year contract extension with the Yankees for just $31,000 per year after he won the American League Triple Crown. It was not until Joe DiMaggio's 1949 contract for $100,000 a year that Barrow would be proved wrong. But back to Ruth. After signing his name to the contract, he was asked by a reporter why he should be paid more than President Herbert Hoover, whose salary was $75,000 per year at that point, to which Ruth famously replied, "Why not? I had a better year than he did." Ruth would go on to prove his worth, leading the league in homers and walks for the 2 years of his contract, while providing some much-needed entertainment for a country mired in an economic morass. Understanding the optics and the economic situation the country was in, he would take a pay cut the next time around in 1932. And on this day in 1936, the first automobile race in Daytona was run, with cars driving on a 3-mile-long beach and road course. It was fairly chaotic, with passing nearly impossible in the beachy turns, scoring issues leading to disputes, and an economic loss for the city of Daytona of more than $20,000, which, again, here in the Depression was a tough pill to swallow. The race was originally scheduled to go 78 laps, but it was stopped after 75. Milt Marion was declared the first winner, though that was disputed by the guys who finished second and third. The man who finished fifth that day was Bill France Sr., the man who would assume control of the race 2 years later and then go on to create NASCAR in 1948. And time now for today's That's Got Nothing to Do with Sports fun fact. On this day in 1910, illusionist Harry Houdini flew the first airplane ever flown in Australia. He flew a biplane he'd purchased in Germany the year before and was in a race with 2 other men to become the first to take flight in Australia. After several successful flights down under, he disassembled the plane, crated it up, and shipped it back to England. Though he intended to reassemble it and fly it again, he never did, and the whereabouts of that plane are still a mystery. This has been an original Thrive Suite production.